The sound of shattered clay rang through the quiet compound. Amara stood frozen, her hands trembling as water seeped into the dusty ground. Aunt Chisomo stormed out of the hut, her face twisted with rage. "You clumsy fool! Do you know how hard I worked for that pot?" she yelled. Before Amara could explain, a sharp slap landed on her cheek, stinging like a scorpion's bite. Ebub and Chica, her cousins, stood in the doorway, smirking. "Maybe next time she'll grow eyes at the back of her head," Chica jeered, flicking her braids over her shoulder. "And maybe she'll stop being such a waste of space," Ebuba added with a sneer. She tugged at the vibrant bracelet on her neck, a gift from their mother. Amara said nothing, lowering her head. Her heart pounded in her chest, but tears refused to fall. She had learned long ago that crying only made things worse. Life in Nantua was beautiful for some, but for Amara, it was a constant struggle. The village, surrounded by lush forests and rolling savannas, thrived under the reign of King Abba. His palace, a grand structure of red clay and thatch, overlooked the fields where villagers worked tirelessly. The air buzzed with the sounds of traders, farmers, and children playing by the river. Yet, for all its beauty, Nantua's traditions were unforgiving. Orphans like Amara were seen as burdens, their worth tied only to the labor they could provide. Amara had lived with her aunt and cousins since her father's death. Aunt Chisomo's house was the largest in the village, a sign of her wealth and influence. But inside, it was a place of cruelty. Ebube and Chica flaunted their beautiful garments and colorful beads, while Amara wore rags. They mocked her constantly, calling her bush rat and laughing as she struggled under the weight of their chores. One sunny afternoon, the market square was alive with activity. Villagers bartered goods, children darted between stalls, and the rhythmic beats of a drum echoed in the background. Amara trailed behind Aunt Chisomo, carrying a large basket filled with yams. Her arms ached, but she dared not complain. "Hurry up, girl!" Aunt Chisomo snapped, glaring over her shoulder. "You move like a snail." "Yes, Aunt," Amara murmured, quickening her pace. At the market, Ebub and Chica giggled as they admired colorful beads at a jeweler's stall. "Mama, can we have these?" Ebub asked sweetly, holding up a string of vibrant red beads. Aunt Chisomo smiled indulgently. "Of course, my dears. You deserve the best." She handed the jeweler a coin and then turned to Amara. "Go fetch firewood from the forest, and don't come back until the basket is full." Amara glanced at the sun, already sinking lower in the sky. "But Aunt, it's getting late." Aunt Chisomo's eyes narrowed. "Are you arguing with me?" "No, Aunt, I'll go." The forest was quiet, except for the rustle of leaves and the chirping of crickets. Amara gathered sticks, her hands scratched and sore. As darkness fell, fear crept in. Shadows stretched across the ground, and every rustle seemed to whisper her name. Clutching the basket, she hurried back to the village. When she arrived, Aunt Chisomo was waiting. "What took you so long?" she demanded, snatching the basket. Without waiting for an answer, she dumped the firewood unceremoniously on the ground. Useless girl. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Amara's life followed the same pattern: endless chores, harsh words, and fleeting moments of solace in the forest. She found brief comfort in watching the villagers go about their lives. Farmers tilled the land, traders displayed their wares, and children laughed as they splashed in the river. She envied their joy but held on to her dreams of a better life. One evening, as the village gathered around a storyteller, Amara lingered at the edge of the crowd. The storyteller's voice rose and fell as he recounted tales of King Abba's wisdom and bravery. "Our king once disguised himself as a commoner," the storyteller said, his voice dramatic. "He walked among us to understand our struggles. That's why he is beloved, because he cares for all, rich and poor alike." Amara's heart swelled with hope. "Maybe one day," she whispered to herself, "I'll have the chance to tell him my story." The seasons changed, marking time in Entua. During the planting season, Amara toiled in the fields under the blazing sun, her hands blistered and her back aching. When the rains came, she fetched water from the swollen river, often slipping on the muddy banks. The villagers praised the bounty of their harvests, but Amara's days remained filled with grueling labor and relentless scorn. One afternoon, Chica's goat wandered into the vegetable patch and ruined the crops. When Aunt Chisomo discovered the damage, she stormed into the yard, her face dark with anger. "Who let the goat into the garden?" she demanded. "It was Amara," Chica lied, pointing an accusing finger. Amara's eyes widened. "No, I didn't." "Silence!" Aunt Chisomo snapped. Without waiting for an explanation, she grabbed a stick and lashed at Amara's legs. "You are a curse to this household," she spat. "Nothing good will ever come from you." That night, as Amara lay on her mat, her legs throbbing with pain, she whispered to herself, "One day I will leave this place. One day I will be free." The only light in her life came from the stories she overheard about King Abba. Despite his wealth and power, the king was said to be fair and just, always seeking the welfare of his people. Amara often wondered if he knew how people like her lived. Would he care if he did? She imagined standing before him one day, telling him her story. But such thoughts felt like foolish dreams. Her only solace was the forest. When she could steal a moment, she wandered beneath the ancient baobab trees, whispering her dreams to the wind. She longed to escape, to be more than what her aunt believed she was. She dreamed of learning, of being free. But such hopes felt as distant as the stars she admired each night. One evening, as Amara trudged back from the stream with a heavy pot, she heard a strange melody. It was soft and haunting, like the hum of the wind through the trees. She followed the sound to the bank of the stream, where moonlight danced on the water. There, an old woman sat, her robes shimmering like ripples in the stream. Her eyes, bright and knowing, locked onto Amara. "Why do you carry such heavy burdens, child?" the woman asked, her voice gentle yet firm. Amara hesitated but felt an urge to speak. She told the woman about her life, the endless chores, and the harsh words of her aunt and cousins. She spoke of her dreams, the ones she barely dared to think about. The woman listened, then smiled. "You are stronger than you know. Return here tomorrow at dawn. I will teach you how to change your fate."